everyone and welcome to Get Published TV. This is the only dedicated show on the internet to help authors and aspiring authors to write, publish and market their own best-selling book in 8 minutes a day. Now in yesterday's video I introduced you to a really important idea and concept that I learned from Mark Victor Hansen, who's the creator of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. And this idea has had a really profound effect on my publishing career, and I'm just going to share it with you again right now. It's don't think book, think book series. Now, yesterday I explained the what. I explained to you what it was, and I probably explained to you a little bit about how it actually works. But what I want to talk about now is the reasons about why you need to think book series as opposed to just a book, to really kind of lock this in so you can understand why this concept is so important. Okay, so I've got a bit of a list here about why you should be thinking book series as opposed to just a single book. The first one is that it makes it so much easier to actually write if you actually have multiple books that you're kind of working on, because sometimes people get really stressed and uptight when they're trying to just get all of their information into just one book. So it really takes the pressure off when you're knowing, look, I'm not just writing one book. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to have everything that I know about this subject. It's going to have some of the information, sure, but I'm actually going to break it up into 3 or more books, as I was recommending that you do. So then when you're actually writing, if you kind of feel yourself going a bit off tangent or feel yourself covering a different topic area, just ask yourself, well, where does this go? And you just kind of file it in that particular category. So you actually write a lot better and a lot faster if you just get all of your ideas out and start putting them into different boxes. That should go in there and that should go in there, and it makes it a lot easier. It really takes the pressure off, because now your book, it's not going to be just one book with all your ideas in it. It's just going to have some of your information. And so it just makes you feel more relaxed, and normally it helps you to overcome that writer's block, knowing that it's not all going into one book, and it makes it so much easier and faster and better. So that's the first one. Number 2, this is really important. It probably doubles, in my opinion, doubles your chances of getting published. Okay, and that's either double your chances of getting a publisher, or if you self-publish and you need a book distributor, and we're going to talk more about what a book distributor is later on in a future episode, but it also doubles your chances of being picked up by a book distributor. Now let me give you a real life example of someone that I worked with about 14 months ago and helped them with their particular book idea. Her name is Sharon Witt, and she came to me and said, Dale, I'm a school teacher. I've been teaching for many, many years. I'm also a mother of 2 children, and I really am passionate about writing and helping teenagers. And obviously I've done a lot of work in that area before, so I share that same passion. So I agreed to help her out. And so we sat down and we had a chat, and I said to her, look, what I want you to do is I want you to actually not just come up with one book, but I want you to think book series. Now that kind of was a complete shock to her, because she's like, what do you mean I was just going to do one book? And I'm like, yeah, I know you just want to do one book, but if you had to do 3 or more books, let's come up with a bit of a series. So she really started to think, and she said, okay, well, I could actually come up with a few books. And she came up with this one here, which is called Teen Talk, and then she came up with this other one called Girl Talk, and another one called Guy Talk, and one called Stories by Teens for Teens, and another one which is a gratitude journal. And I said to her, look, what I want you to do is I want you to design all the covers of each of those books. And this was a bit uncomfortable for her, because she's like, well, I haven't even, I haven't even done anything with them. I haven't even written anything. I said, that's okay. Just design the covers anyway, and you can write future titles in the Teen Talk series. And you can actually put that into your first book and into your proposal to your publisher or distributor. Now, she chose to self-publish, and she went to her book distributor, which happens to also be my book distributor here in Australia, and she pitched them not one book. She actually pitched to them 5 books in a book series. And it was really interesting, because she called me afterwards with her excitement saying, yes, they've agreed to publish my books. And I said, wow, that's fantastic. And I said, well, what really made the difference? Because it's sometimes it can be quite challenging to get a distributor to actually, back you and to agree to get your book in the bookstores. It's not just a given. It doesn't always happen. And she said to me, well, that idea of don't think book series, that made the difference, because they said to me, if I just had one book, then we probably would not have taken you on board. However, because you have a vision because you have several books that you actually want to write, we're actually more excited about that, because we don't want to have relationships with 100 different authors that just have one book. We'd rather have relationships with 10 authors that have maybe 10 books, so then it's less effort and work on their part, and it means that once they develop relationships with authors, they can actually, it makes their job and life so much easier, okay? Because let's face it, right? I know a lot of people get really upset with publishers and distributors. They're business people at the end of the day, and they're going to do what makes commercial sense. As great as your book is, they're not in the business to help you out and to make you famous or any of that stuff, okay? They're there to make money, and so they want to know what is your vision. So the first book, she released this first book, and it was just called the Teen Talk. It's called Teen Talk, Become a Teen with Passion and Purpose. And then she's already followed up with her second book, which was Guy Talk, and that's another book which is already done. Another one here which is called Girl Talk, and this is also the journal that she's put together as well. And now she's working on book number 5, which is the success stories of for teens by teens. So I'm so excited with Sharon Witt and what she's actually done. I'm incredibly proud, but it was that idea that really made the difference for her. And look what she's done. I think this has all been done in about a 14-month period. We're talking about 4 books. She just came to me with one book, and now she's got 4, soon to be 5 books that she's published. So I'm just really excited to know what she's done, to see what she's actually done. But there's a big clue there, a big hint for you watching, is that if you've just got one book, then it's actually going to be much more difficult for you to get published as if you have a series. Now, you don't necessarily even have to have finished those other books or even started on the books, but if you design a cover and in your proposal you talk about your vision for the series and you show the other covers and maybe a little brief overview, that's all you really need just to get their attention to know, okay, well, this person's going somewhere. If we invest our time to back them, then they're going to produce us content or books on a regular and consistent basis. So I've covered 2 points right now, and I've got actually another 1, 2, 3, 4 other points that I have. I might just quickly do number 3 now, and then I'll do the next 3, 4, 5, and 6 in another video, because I really want to explain these ideas fully. The third one, just think about this, like having 3 or 4 books in the marketplace. Think about the exposure that'll generate you, as opposed to just having one book. Because the cool thing is that all of these books, get positioned on the bookshelf together, and from an exposure point of view or a credibility point of view, it's like 4 times the credibility that you have when you've got 4 books in the marketplace. And think about how that sounds. Sharon Witt is the author of 4 books, or 4 best-selling books. It puts her in a completely different category, because there's tons of authors out there that just have one book, they've just published one, but very few do 2, 3, 4, or 5. So it puts you in a completely different category, and that gives you a whole lot more additional opportunities. And in my case, there's here 15 books. So when someone goes into a bookshop and they see, sometimes, or in most cases, not all 15 books are in the bookshop at any one time, but even if there's 4, 5, or 6 books in there, again, it positions me in a completely different category, having multiple books. So you get so much more value and exposure. And of course, going back to Mark Victor Hansen, who he spoke about, I don't know how many titles they have in the Chicken Soup for the Soul series now, but I'm guessing it's probably well over 100. And that could have just been one book, but he thought big and thought of a book series instead. So just to summarize the first 3, and we'll come up with the next 3, and we'll go that into tomorrow. These are the reasons as to why to think book why to think book series as opposed to just book. Okay, first one is it makes it a lot easier to write, because you can imagine, remember here when I was saying with this Sharon, when she was thinking about, oh gee, you know, there's too much information here, she just goes, okay, I'll drop that into the guy talk book, or I'll drop that into the girl talk book. And already as she was writing book number 1, she was dropping in material to books number 2 and 3. So when it came time to do these books, they happened much quicker because half of the book was already there from leftovers from book number 1. Okay, so the first one again is that it makes it easier to write. Number 2 is it doubles, triples, quadruples even your chances of getting published or being picked up by a book distributor. And number 3, you get a whole lot more exposure by thinking book series as opposed to just book. Okay, so having 3, 4, 5, 6 books on the shelf at any one time, you know, that's pretty impressive as opposed to just having one book on the shelf. Okay, so hopefully you've got some good value and it's now really locked this in and embedded it. And if it hasn't done it enough yet, then come back tomorrow, because we're going to go through one more video in this little series. And even it's interesting, because I'm even doing a series about this particular point. So I could have put it all into 8 minutes, but I chose to break it up into 2, and now it's going to be 3 parts. So you know, isn't it interesting how I'm doing a video on exactly what I'm talking to you about right now? So I've covered 3, we're going to cover another 3 tomorrow, and after that you'll have the 6 top reasons about why to think book series as opposed to just book. This is Dale Beaumont. Thanks for watching Get Published TV. We'll see you again in tomorrow's episode.